Hey, how's everybody doing? We are live. All right. This is episode number 15 of Calibrated Live with Scott. I'm Scott, of course. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. I have a lot of content coming your guys' way, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to start doing videos as well as my live streams and stuff. I'm really getting this thing going, so be on the lookout for all of that. I just recorded a video that'll probably be up maybe later today. Maybe I might post it up tomorrow. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm just kind of letting everybody start to file in a little bit. Let's get in here. I'll just look at what comments we have. Calibrated, have you seen the video of the Ukraine forces taking out Wagner's in Africa? Who gives a shit, honestly? Wagner is kind of a very weird position. I would say that is probably a fake video. There seems to be a lot of confusion in the pro-Ukrainian crowd about who's doing what. They seem to think that the rebels are the ones that Wagner are helping, but they're not. So it's very weird. But hey, if Ukraine wants to send special forces guys to Sudan while their country is literally being destroyed, go ahead, let them, whatever. That shows exactly. That's a prime example of how the Ukrainian leadership is thinking right now. They'd rather be dicking around with their special forces in Sudan than dealing with Avdeevka that's literally collapsing as we speak. Good morning. Good afternoon, actually. It's 3 o'clock. What am I talking about? 3 o'clock my time, probably nighttime for some of you. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Let's get into it. Let's do it. Let's move over to the map. Let's see. Let's put this down. Let me grab this, bring this over here. We good? All right. If I mute myself, guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. All right. Australia. That's one of those places that, like, I don't want to live because of the government, but I would love to live because of the people and because of the stuff that you can do there. That is my kind of place. All right. So actually, before we get to Avdeevka, that's what we'll do in just a second. No changes down here on the southern front. There have been rumors that the Russians are approaching the mine here. We don't have any definite updates, but it is only one field. So this is not an unlikely scenario that the Russians started an assault, especially considering that Avdeevka is collapsing. And I imagine a bunch of the reserves from this southern sector have been pulled to try to keep this salient open and try to get as many Ukrainian soldiers out of this city as possible. So far, right now, we don't have any actual updates to present. I did this one yesterday, but I predicted that along this entire highway right here from Marinka to Ugledar, the Russians would start offensive operations just because of the pull that Avdeevka is having. It's the perfect opportunity to launch an offensive in this area and gain control potentially over this highway and remove Ugledar from the equation. That would be a very big deal for the Russians here in the southern sector. And it would be a very bad situation for areas like Novomihailovka, and this entire stretch of villages right here is going to be potentially getting flanked very quickly. As well as we have more progress in towards Gorgivka, is how the Russians say it. Hirohivka. They have to change all of their letters so that they're different from the Russians. Again, I just don't understand that. But we have a geolocation of Russian forces in right around this area. So again, more progress up this canal. I also filled in this little area right here, this tree line, basically, because I assume that the Russians with this advance probably have captured this tree line. That just makes sense. Again, what I expect from the Russians here in the salient is going to be basically making the defensive line right here and then a pause because there's not really much purpose in going further unless a development happens up here in the north and they can flank Kresno Horka, which they might do. We'll see. That would be another big win for the Russians, and it wouldn't take very long. It's not a huge city, and then if you can see that there's just literally nothing behind this, so that would really open up this area to being quickly captured. Novelsky would be captured. Pervomaisky would likely be captured, and then this salient is also going to have a large bloom after it collapses. Because if you really zoom out, there's not a lot back behind Avdeevka. That's why Avdeevka is so important and why the Ukrainians stayed here for so long, way past the expiration, of course. But, they really, really don't have a bunch of defenses back here. And it also will free up a lot of Russian troops, free up pressure on Donetsk. It's going to be a huge morale boost for the people of the newly liberated territories. Avdeevka is kind of a sore spot. It's where a lot of the shelling of Donetsk comes from. So Avdeevka being captured is a huge morale booster for the Russians. Again, it's another city being lost for the Ukrainians. I don't think it's really that big, that detrimental to the Ukrainians at this immediate moment in terms of their morale. But it's never good, right? Losing a city is never good, especially the way that they're losing this city right now. So we'll come back to that in just a second. Up in the north, we don't have any reports of progress along this front. It's been kind of quiet here for the last day or two. There's just so much news coming out of Avdeevka right now that's the primary focus. Here in Bilohorivka, the Russians have fully captured. I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit. Have fully captured the industrial zone right here. And that means, because they can't really stand on water, this is an important defense position that the Ukrainians were holding. Apparently, the story here from the Ukrainians is that the story, as this is the old myth and legend of the Ukrainian super soldier. There was one guy here who was in this industrial zone. The rest of his unit or whatever squad got eliminated. And he tried to call in artillery on himself, but apparently the Ukrainians in this sector are very, very low on ammunition. It's all been focused towards Avdeevka. So that soldier was apparently wounded and was able to survive. I don't know if he retreated. To me, it sounds like ammo shortage begging propaganda, like, oh, we have the bravery, we just need the ammo sort of deal. So I'm very careful with those sort of stories, but it's kind of been a theme and people are talking about it. So I do really believe that there is a serious ammunition issue in the AFU currently. But this has been captured, and we have reports that the Russians are now storming this quarry. Quarry. Yeah. So that is currently ongoing. If this area falls, it's going to be bad because the Ukrainians just don't have reserves to put out fires right now, especially with what's going on in Avdeevka. All right. Now to get to the cream of the corn, we'll go down here. No changes in the south so far, although I do expect that this has probably been abandoned, and we'll get an update about this in the coming day. there's literally no reason to stay down there other than potentially protecting this flank, but just getting through this seems incredibly difficult. I think it's probably empty at this point. We're also probably going to see actually what I have in my presentation. Oh no, did it get moved? Yeah, there it is. So here's the area that I expect to fall rather quickly here soon. I think that it could potentially look like this tomorrow with what we're hearing coming out. The Russians have also pressed out of the railway area and are now fighting in this. I guess I'll just call it a school or a warehouse, something. Right here, this big set of buildings, as well as there are reports that there's fighting going on in this area and in this area. I don't know if the Russians are actually fighting in this area because we've also got reports that in the past 24 hours, or I should say 8 hours, really, there have been over 100 glide bombs dropped on Avdeevka alone. As well as nonstop artillery cannonade from the Russians. So there are shells and bombs dropping all over this place. I think every single one of these major buildings now that the Ukrainians have sort of retreated into from these areas into here before they get out are being just absolutely rocked right now. I mean, we have a video that I'll show you a little later from Twitter, and it's the view from Donetsk, so from over here, looking over at Avdeevka, and you can just see flashes and just a thunder, just sort of a thunder, and it's very distinct. So I'm expecting most of this to fall. Tomorrow is going to be a very, very busy day for all of us. The live stream tomorrow should be very good. This is sort of the straw breaking the camel's back that I had been talking about. And I think we're really, really beginning to see the lack of aid from the West starting to come through. And I've said it for a long time, but Ukraine is on Western life support, right? So anytime that starts faltering, anytime that plug gets pulled on that life support, even if it gets plugged in later, the patient starts dying, right? And that's what you're seeing with Ukraine. They're also having excuse me, hold on, reset. They are having an extremely difficult time with their mobilization, and that is really, really starting to hit. We're seeing a lot of obituaries for women, a lot of videos of women going to the front, which was sort of like the last mobilization that they did was like a lot of women. And now they just passed a new law. I don't know exactly what it says, but I think it pretty much opens up mobilization to protected groups. And that is usually like college students and young men. You don't want to send young men to die usually. You want to send like slightly potentially older men. You don't want to kill a whole generation of men like what happened in World War I. And that's sort of what the Ukrainians are getting into. I think that they've made the decision to go down the extinction route instead of the negotiated settlement route potentially, or a surrender route. They are going to mobilize every single last Ukrainian that they possibly can and put a gun in their hands and send them forward like our German friends. So Avdeevka is done. I'm going to take us over to Twitter now, and we can look at some videos on Twitter. Twitter, it's the place to be, boys. Tucker Carlson interview coming out soon. There's been this ongoing meltdown, actually. I'll actually talk about this for a second. An ongoing meltdown in the, I would just basically call them libtards because that's kind of what it seems like. I've talked to a lot of people and they seem like American left. And that's like, they're very emotional. They react instead of plan. And so, we're seeing this huge backlash about, I'll retweet this. I like it. We're seeing this big backlash over Tucker Carlson going to Russia to interview Vladimir Putin. He is the first Westerner to actually have an interview with Putin since the start of the special military operation. Others have tried without success, mostly because legacy and mainstream media tend to do this thing where they go and they interview. If you watch the last interview, I believe it was with Megyn Kelly. It was one of the prominent women reporters. They have this tone with him. They basically push the same kind of nonsense you see on X a lot, the genocide stuff, all the stuff that even if it was happening, Putin wouldn't really be talking about it, right? It's just like a mute point. Like if you're going to conduct an interview, you want to get the most out of the interviewee as possible. And that's not what Western journalists usually do with Putin. So hopefully this conversation is a little bit more freeform. Hopefully we get some information. Hopefully it isn't a Putin puff piece where he gives us a history lesson and talks about Nazis the whole time. We've seen enough of that over the last 2 years. This is not a video for his domestic population where the Nazism plays really strong. This is a video for a Western audience. It will be translated into Russian, but primarily this is going to be a Western focused interview. And that's probably why he took it, is because this is a pivotal time for Ukraine support. And Tucker Carlson is a very prominent journalist who has a lot of the American right and center now, mostly, which everybody calls right, but it is center, focused on what is happening in Ukraine. And if he can deliver a decent enough message, I think that's his plan. He could potentially really slow down the aid to Ukraine, kind of bring it into a topical sort of discussion situation. This is a funny meme. I'll show you guys. If any of you have been following this conflict since early on, you would know that you would know what this is right here. This is you would know what this is. And then this is Avdeevka right here. So, what are the difference between the pictures? They're the same thing. This is 2015 or 2014, 2015. Can't remember. Early 2015, late 2014. Ukrainian offensive that ended up getting cut off and, massacred, basically. Not good, not great. But I thought that was a funny meme. The Ukrainians are always finding themselves in difficult positions, to say the least. There was something specific on here I wanted to show you guys, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I can't remember. All right, I'll go back. Never mind. Let's go ahead and get into questions, though. I would like to open it up and actually have some conversations with you guys. What are your thoughts about the situation around Avdeevka? What's going on? There's only so much I can really tell you. I've been posting about it all day. The city is likely going to be at least partially captured by morning. I think you're going to see a lot of the retreats come out. So that's what's going on. But I'll wait for the stream to catch back up, and let's get to those questions. Hit me. Let's go. Hayden, will you be on Zayd Space again anytime soon? It was interesting having you on last night. Zayd, he's a weird guy. No, I'm just kidding. He's great. Yes, I will be doing a space with him probably here soon. I'm going to be doing a couple more spaces and get into that information space a little bit better. I need to be more proactive with that. And also make sure you guys tune in on Saturday. Me, Alex, Clown, Von Clown, and Zag are all going to be drinking and discussing Ukraine and everything. So it should be a good, laid-back, fun stream. Let's see. Where is Ukraine still shelling Donetsk from Avdeevka? It's almost encircled. No, so what it is that the Ukrainians can still position artillery. Watch, I'll show you guys. So it won't completely stop the shelling. But what ends up happening is that you create a sort of buffer zone. So right now, the Ukrainians can be in this area firing on Donetsk, right? They can also be over here in this area firing on Donetsk. They are not out of artillery range here. But what happens is once Avdeevka falls, all of this artillery has to be moved back, right? Because now the front approaches here. All of this artillery is going to have to be moved back. You cannot position, even though this is under Ukrainian control, it is incredibly difficult to be like, okay, I'll just put a piece of artillery in Kresno Horka and shell Donetsk, right? Why isn't my distance working? All right, because that's like 14 miles already, right? Which is not out of all artillery range, but you don't bring artillery pieces that close to the front, you're going to lose them. So you'll keep them way further back because they're meant to target the front line, right? And now you're starting to get to the extent of your range, and it's not necessarily going to completely end it, but it's going to help reduce it dramatically. And once these settlements fall and this really expands out, the shelling of Donetsk should almost stop entirely. I can't believe they're still even shelling Donetsk, considering the fact that they don't have enough shells to protect their own men who are dying in trenches. So, you know, it is what it is. It's very, very weird. All right. Remember, if you guys do super thanks, I'll answer those questions as well. I'm considering doing a separate episode for all the super thanks questions, and I might do that. So I'm curious to what you guys think. So did Fab play a major role in Avdeevka? Yeah, I mean, 100 have dropped in Avdeevka in the past 8 hours, 26 in the past hour alone. That's what I wanted to show you on Twitter. Ha ha ha! I remembered. Thank you so much for that question. I think I posted it on Twitter. If I didn't, I will post it later. Also, there was this explosion deep in Russia. A lot of the pro-Ukrainian accounts were pushing it, that it was some industrial accident, which is not far-fetched. There's been plenty of those. But what it appears to be is ICBM fuel being burnt off intentionally. Apparently, this happens around here frequently. There wasn't really a massive explosion. It was just a lot of smoke and flame right here. That's not to say that they're not covering up for something. I don't know, but apparently this is not a unnormal occurrence in this area. Where did I put it? If I seriously did not post it, I have so much stuff that I have to go back and forth and post. Yep, it doesn't look like I did it. Okay. Let's see. Should I post it right now? I know you guys are watching me, but here, I'll post it right now. Let's see. And that way I can go look at it. Here we go. Somebody said 48 hours and it's over. I'm not so sure about that. We'll see. It always takes more time than you think. So don't be like, oh, it's done, it's over. But the situation is getting so critical that it is basically at that point. Yes. I would say within 2 weeks, we will see a flattening of the front line outside of Avdeevka, probably around the coke plant. I don't know if the coke plant will fall right away. That is yet to be seen. I don't know how much the Ukrainians are going to be able to invest in that defense. Got to make it a little joke. View from Donetsk. Here you guys go. You get to see how the magic happens. Boom. Done. All right, here we go. Let's see a question. I think Kharkov and Sumy weren't included in the annexation referendum. Well, yeah, the Russians didn't have control of it. You don't have control over the capital city. You can't really do a referendum. So aren't the Russians splitting the AFU into two forces in Avdeevka? Yeah, so I'll take us back over to the map again. Actually, let me show you guys that video on Twitter real fast because I just posted it. Make sure this is still going. Okay, right here. It's like constant like this. So that's what's going on there. Avdeevka is just getting battered right now. It really does seem like the Russians have really changed the equation when it comes to urban combat with these glide bombs. They now can sit back and find Ukrainian hard points, strong positions, right, fortified areas in buildings and stuff like that. They can either call in a glide bomb and destroy the building, or take off in an FPV and fly it through the window and take out these positions. So the Russians are becoming very, very efficient in urban warfare. And I think it would do the Ukrainians best to try to keep the Russians as far away from the cities for as long as possible, because the Russians seem to have a hard time getting across open territory. But as they get closer to these cities, it starts to work a little bit better. Let's see. Question. Can we have Glenn Day once a week? You unblock him. Very entertaining. Yeah, sure. I'll unblock Glenn. It's just annoying. It's like the penis joke thing. Like, it would be funny. Like, I've laughed at some of them that they've made because some of them are funny, right? You gotta laugh at that. It is a funny thing. However, when they're just so boring and unoriginal and uninspired, and there's no real sense of humor, because most of these people don't really have a sense of humor, it's really difficult to just keep like dealing with that. Like, imagine if you heard the same knock knock joke every day, right? It gets boring. Like, make good jokes and I'll fucking retweet that shit. That's funny, but don't make it like lame. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Oh my God, you guys are asking a lot of questions. Do you know if there's any Wagner units in Avdeevka? I think that there are some Wagner units, but they're not with Wagner anymore. They're under the Ministry of Defense. So I think they have some sort of autonomy when it comes to how they run their operations, but it's not necessarily like Wagner, the PMC is in there working. These guys are being paid by the Russian government and not through Wagner. Don't unblock Glenn. Hey, I've got you guys split on Glenn. All right. Calibrated. I've seen the term Russia has fire control over blank road. What does that mean, though? How many of every 10 vehicles travel along that road will make it through? That's a good question. So there's different kinds of fire control. Currently in the city, this is the last line of supply line in and out of the city, right? The Russians are right here. So they're already in fire range. Basically, direct fire control would be 100 to 200 meters, where I could lift up a rifle and, with good aim, I could put some at least suppressing fire into an area. That's what is happening right here. However, this road has been probably inoperable since the Russians made this breakthrough right here. As soon as they got within like 2 miles, maybe, so even back here, but probably when they got established in this area, they were flying FPV drones all over this area. They had line of sight onto the road. They can see it up from the Terracon 2, so the waist heap up here. So, I mean, this road is being watched. They can see the cars coming in. Apparently, Ukrainians can't move during the day at all. If they poke their heads out, they get hit. So there's a lot of like basements that are full of Ukrainians here. I saw a video of a Ukrainian in some sort of makeshift field hospital in a basement, and it looked miserable. All the guys sound sick, coughing, probably pneumonia and shit because it's cold and rainy, and they don't have proper heating, proper food. This is a hellhole right now. This is just not a place you want to be if you're Russian, Ukrainian, anybody. This ain't it. But particularly Ukrainian. All right, head back over. Let's see. Starlink. Oh yeah, Starlink dropped off around Avdeevka. So basically, that means that that it's not under Ukrainian control necessarily anymore. They shut down Starlink, which probably means withdrawal is being ordered. If that necessarily works, I don't think it will. I think it's too late, but we'll see. I think that a lot of Ukrainians are dying tonight. I think that they really, really, really screwed up. And that pipe operation down here, the operation down in this sector, traveling through that pipe 2 kilometers and getting behind this defense structure forced Ukrainian rotation down to defend this. They counterattacked here for like 4 days straight. We saw like no progress for 4 days because the Ukrainians were throwing everything at this, trying to get Totska Ohota back. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Don't really care. And off that, the Russians captured all of this because the Ukrainian garrison here just got hollowed out, and a lot of the focus was transferred over here. So yeah, this is I think basically probably 48 hours to a week we'll probably see something like this. Basically, like that'll be the new line. The Ukrainians will retreat. They'll probably retreat out of Severne to back at here. These settlements are destroyed, and they don't really offer a lot to the Ukrainians. If they're smart, they'll retreat from here. But they're going to hold on to every single inch of territory that they possibly can. So I say that like they should probably retreat from these areas because they're going to be non-strategic now that Avdeevka's fallen, and just a waste of time. They've been completely leveled, so there's nothing even here. It's basically just fields. All of this is just fields. We'll see how the Ukrainians decide to defend it. We'll also see how much defense in depth they have around this area. I think it's the reason why they're defending this so stringently is because they do not have a lot of defense in depth. Also, the Russians will get on this railroad, and they'll just, I think you're about to see the Russians just kind of push all the way down through this railroad up to over here. So I think that this is just sort of my opinion now. I think that the goal, but for the Russians right now, is something like this. This is so rough. Don't take my word for this. This is just, I'm just free balling here. So right here, here, something like that is the Russian goal over the next year, probably. I think that the defense of a lot of these areas is going to start faltering. You're going to start to see a lot more of what's happening in Avdeevka across the entire front as this ammunition problem becomes more and more intense. And I think you will also see the same thing up here. I think that this would be a good maximum goal for the Russians for the year of 2024 would be resecuring this salient right here and resecuring or securing southern Donetsk. I don't know what I don't know if that's possible. We'll see how aggressive the Russians are, but they should really try to exploit all of this open space back behind Avdeevka. All right, coming back over. Let's see. Thank you for doing these. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys like them. It's hard for me to tell. I like to listen to myself talk. Obviously, it's why I do this. All I do is talk. But I'm really glad you guys like them. I'm really glad it offers you something. It makes me feel a lot better about the work that I'm doing. Because sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm, just kind of I make all the content, but then I don't really know how it's always received. So I really do appreciate that. That's awesome to hear. Let's see. Calibrated more looks like Mr. Clean. Yeah. That's funny that you say that. I get called that a bunch. So that's funny. Did you hear what Putin did? No, I did not. An interview? Is that what you mean? Free Glenn. Hashtag free Glenn. Get that going. Which X handle is Glenn? I know David's dumbass, but not Glenn. Glenn is a nobody. Glenn is one of those like NAFO accounts that is just a nobody. No posts. He just goes on to accounts to basically harass them. Which has got to be the saddest life for any single individual. Could you imagine spending all day not producing anything? Like what I do is kind of lame, right? Like I sit at a computer all day. I mean, most people do at their jobs, but I just like I'm just doing this. I'm on my phone. I'm on the computer. It's not really like great, but at least I'm like producing something and I'm kind of proud of it. And I'm expanding what I'm doing. He sits on Twitter with an account with no followers and posts stupid comments. It's like how miserable of a life. It's crazy. Trump will do, let's see, Zelensky still around, green screen. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird video in that tent. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. Even if he went to Robitny, what does that accomplish? What is the point of that? It's so stupid. Do you think Zelensky will get the blame for this? Absolutely. They're going to fire so many people right when Avdeevka falls, and they're going to blame it all on them. They're going to say, we're bringing in all these new people. We're solving problems. Here we go. Question. What should Putin say in the interview that would help Americans understand why the SMO was necessary? I think that he should really particularly point to, I think NATO expansion is a big one because a lot of, at least the Republican Party in the U.S. is kind of wary of NATO after, Trump made it kind of one of his things in 2016 that he was going to leave NATO. So there's this sour feeling about the money that we give to these countries to defend themselves when we can't take care of issues at home. So I think that is one topic that he could really point out. Also say that the U.S. is putting offensive missile capabilities in Europe unprovoked, which is what they did. And, I think that one of the things that he should really drive home is the fact that the Ukrainians are suffering horribly because of the decisions of the U.S. leadership. I think that a lot of people really understand that Biden is really screwing shit up right now. And I mean, not Biden, but the people who tell Biden what to do are really screwing shit up right now. And if he can really play on the fact that, if he can convey that he doesn't want to destroy Ukraine, he doesn't want to take over all of Ukraine. Even if he did, let's just think about it from a sociopath sort of point of view. Even if he did want all of that, the way he convinces people is by making it about brothers. So talking about the brothership and really trying to convey this message that the reason why Ukraine is suffering is because of the Ukrainian regime and because of the administration in Washington and how they're going about this proxy war. Very bloody to the last Ukrainian. I think you should talk about the women being mobilized right now. That would be a huge thing. And he should talk about they're even trying to bring Ukrainians home from abroad that ran away. They're not even the nationalistic Ukrainians. These guys ran away. They'd rather not die than fight for Ukraine. They ran away. They want to bring them back. Bring that up. Talk about that. Talk about the lengths Ukraine is going to continue the fight instead of negotiating. Seem reasonable and seem like not an evil Russian dictator is basically like what he needs to do. Let's see. Will you ever do a collab with Jackson Hinkle again? Jackson he jumps around so much topic wise that I don't even think Ukraine is on his radar as much anymore. So, there we go. Here we go. You're cool, Scott. Yes, I am, dude. High five. Yeah, I'm not an old guy, right? I know how to talk the lingo. I'm jive. I'm hip. That's what's up. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like the content. I'm glad my personality is actually not horrible. Maybe it is horrible, and it's just not bad through a screen. I don't know. Can we see your dog? Yeah, hold on just a second. Hey, there he is. Come here, buddy. They want to see you. Come here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, he's tall. What are you doing? He wants to play. He thinks it's playtime now that... All right. He's crazy. He's crazy. All right. Let's see. Questions. Hello. What time over there in China? Oh, talking to somebody else. Want to second the previous comment. I don't tune in every stream just because you're my homie. You do good work. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You probably do turn in just because it's like I have to do it sort of thing, but that's cool. Appreciate the information that you provide. Yes, I did collab with Jackson Hinkle. He's a cool dude. I know the way I see Jackson is he is a entertainer and he's a very provocative person and he's doing that on purpose 100%. When you actually talk to him, he's a very cool guy. He's sort of kind of a frat dude, which I mean, obviously, but he's a cool guy. Yeah, Avdeevka has no strategic value anymore. There we are. We made it to the final part of that meme where it's strategically unimportant. The Russian casualties were so soon you're going to hear how high the Russian casualties are. The coke will start flowing, so get ready for that. How deep is the coke plant? Anything like it's much smaller than Azovstal for sure. Azovstal was like an island that was built to survive a direct nuclear blast. It's insanity how big Azovstal was and isolated kind of in the battlefield. The coke plant is not like that, and it's been riddled with glide bombs for months. So I don't think it's going to hold as well, but it's still a decent defensive position. Are you question? Oh wait, I already answered that one. Which country am I from? I am from the United States. I am a dual citizen. I have my Canadian citizenship, but that's because my dad is a immigrant. He immigrated here from, he was originally born in New Zealand. In Canada, moved to New Zealand, moved back to Canada in his late teen years, and then moved down here when he became a pilot. So, let's see. Are you afraid if you got put onto the list? No, that was my 2023 New Year's resolution and I didn't get it. But 2024 is a new year. We're going to strive for greatness. I don't think that I talk to enough Ukrainian politicians as much as like some of the other people who get put on that list. If I could get put on that list, why not? It would be fun. If I die because of these stupid fucking videos and my shit posting on Twitter, that is like peak. Put that on my tombstone, make my tombstone like a monument and say he was literally killed because his shit talk game was so fucking strong. Awesome dog. Thank you. He's a good boy. He still, though, over the past 3 months, no, probably less, 2 months, has really started to look at mirrors and look at himself in mirrors. And he'll just sit there and look at a mirror. And it is the creepiest shit you have ever seen. And sometimes he'll like move a little bit. And I think he's starting to realize that it's him. And it's just very uncomfortable. I don't know if dogs can recognize themselves. He might just think it's another dog moving exactly like it. He's just a good boy, though. He's a good boy. He's huge. He's so big. He's a good boy. All right. A couple more questions, then we'll wrap this up here. Are you for real? How do you do, fellow kids? Top of the morning to you. Do you guys have any drugs on you, perhaps, that I could buy? How long until Zelensky eats some lead? Probably never. I think he's going to escape and have a good time somewhere else in exile and lead a government that way. Maybe, potentially. Maybe they'll get rid of him. I don't know. He just seems like kind of like almost too big to be killed off in that way. You know, he's very important to the Western narrative. which is good that he put himself in that position considering what is around him. Dogs don't see themselves in mirrors, just like vampires. Oh, shit. Shit, Hades. Wait, hold on. Are you a vampire dog? No. Okay. I don't think he's a vampire dog, but he probably is like, why can't I see myself in the mirror? What? What? All right. One more question and then we'll wrap it up here. Let's see. Let's do this one. 8 months on, which side do you think blew the Kharkov dam? Honestly, I don't know if it really matters. I've made arguments for both sides. It's hard for me to say that the Russians did it when it really compromised a lot of their defensive positions that they had built along that part of the river. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially because most of the flooding occurred on the Russian side. It really did do some significant damage to the defensive positions there. So I believe that the Ukrainians did it. It was a precursor to the offensive in Zaporozhye. It happened at the exact same time, and that offensive was supposed to come down, and then after that water ended up receding, then the Ukrainians would cross the river the way that you saw them do now, except the Russians weren't supposed to be solely focused on Krinky. They were supposed to also be focused on a breakthrough near Tokmak, right? So that's sort of the situation I think that they were lining up. The argument for the Russians doing it was that potentially the Ukrainians would have been crossing at the exact same time, and the Russians didn't want to deal with both of those issues at the exact same time. So they blew the dam, flooded that area, and gave themselves a good 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think, before the Ukrainians could actually cross it, before the water receded and the mud went away. And that was sort of the only argument I could make for the Russians blowing it. But I do think it was the Ukrainians. It just seems like something that the Ukrainians would do, honestly. The Russians don't seem to go to those lengths usually to get stuff done. All right, guys. I'm going to call it there. I really appreciate everybody who donated and gave super thanks. That helps me so much. These videos don't do as well because lives never do as well. But I like doing them more with you guys. It's a lot more fun for me. So I really appreciate that. And I will put up a poll about the separate episode for all of the super thanks questions, sort of like the Duran does. And that way that, you guys can go to that to actually watch the questions or actually listen to the questions. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. And I will be back tomorrow, probably earlier, but maybe later. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out which times are the best. We have a lot of people in here today, so I might do this time tomorrow. Take care. Everybody have a good one. Be safe.